Yo, what's good, beautiful people? Guys, I already know what time it is. We're here to bring you some more great information, coming to you live from In God We Trust Academy podcast today. As always, we appreciate each and every last one of you that always attend. Yes. I like to keep everything organic because it's by word of mouth. That's how you always know you got the right people around. You know, let's see what you guys talking about today. All right, we're gonna give you guys a little time to get in here. We're gonna keep vibing for a little minute, man. We want everybody to make sure that you hit the like and share. Subscribe with us. YouTube, In God We Trust Academy. Twitch, In God We Trust Academy. Facebook, In God We Trust Academy. And also follow myself, Eric Ingram Bay. And yeah, make sure that you following us on TikTok as well, MNRP619 2020. So that we can make sure we get everybody logged in so y'all can catch us. That way you won't miss us. And we're here to bring you some great information. Today, we're going to be talking about negotiable instruments, forgery, and counterfeit. Yeah, we're going to help you guys out with something today. I say these things for a reason. All righty, drop some ones to make sure that you're with us. Let me know that you're with us, man. Drop some ones. Let me know where you guys are from, where y'all reaching out to, and how long have you been with us? Are you new? You've been here for a couple seasons. What's up? Let me know something. How long you been around? What's up, Mike? Callie in the house. Bro say he been around since September. That's what's up. Well, how you enjoying it so far? Texas, a hot minute. You straight from the south. From West Texas, couple of months. That's what's up. What's up, DZ? Rashad? Make sure y'all follow my brother too, man. Got some great information for you guys too. But today I'm going to be showing you guys something, because in the negotiable instrument world, this seems to happen to people a lot. So we're going to help you guys out. Let's go. Michigan in the house. Season 3 since season 3. Okay, that's what's up. So you've been around for a minute. For a minute. Oh, I know Daisy been around way back since season 1, way before then. I don't know about the rest of you guys though. Y'all gonna have to let me know something. What? Broward County. There, newbie. Cleveland, Ohio. I've been following you since the summer. That's what's up. And I duly appreciate you guys for always tuning in, man. Texas. What's up, Texas? Texas is in here today. Yep. So the only time the wheels coming off is when we taking flight. New York. Still a destination for me. What's up, Loan Money? Loan Money lands in the building now. What's up, bro? Y'all don't know nothing about Loan Money land. Kansas City, Missouri, Dallas. Dallas, man. Yeah, you know, I really got it on my mind to come do the conference in Dallas, yo. It's been on my mind heavy, for real. I even had a dream about it, so Dallas might be the next move. Alrighty, we about to get ready to get started, man. As always, man, I give thanks to each and every last one of you guys for your participation and always just being here and helping us to expand and, you know, do greater things in life, helping you guys learn. Y'all helping me learn more as well. So always appreciate it as you know, everybody that's in your attendance as well. So, man, it's always love. Just know that much. So, But again, man, we got so much other stuff going on. For those of you that be trying to get into work sessions, man, all you got to do is follow the instructions that is going on here. So what you see on the screen is what you need to do to get into class. If you want to be there, but don't be square, okay? So we're in season 5. It's presented by myself, hosted by my Living Trust. So on Mondays, 11 a.m. Central Time, and on Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Central Time is when we have, you know, our work sessions. So everything else that y'all see me doing outside of that is just part of the podcast, which we allow the sessions to be a part of the podcast as well. But just, you know, continue to give you my thoughts and everything in the best way possible that I know, to help you guys, and you know, that we find a way to change something, man. So I just try to make sure I do my due diligence throughout this great life that was given to me to continue to live in this very moment in time, right? Give thanks to the Creator, though. You know, we woke up, man, so make sure that everybody giving their praises. Make sure everybody giving their praises. Everybody make sure y'all giving y'all praises, man. Make sure y'all do that. You know, that's very important, to make sure that you acknowledge life, the breath of life, freedom of consciousness, liberty, mind. And we have to start going back to those things, right? And today we're going to learn some things. So as I said earlier, we're going to speak about negotiable instruments, forgery, and counterfeit. And I'm going to show you guys actually how to handle this type of stuff, because I know this is so much stuff on there about negotiable instruments and this and that. And then if it get in certain people's hands, they could look at it as you attempted to defraud them or something of that nature, which is why I always explain to you guys put void where prohibited by law as well. So, but we're gonna dive into this and hope you guys are ready for it as well. So don't forget, anybody need a trust? Want to set up a trust with In God We Trust Academy? We do one-on-one full trust setup, and we also give you the In God We Trust conference replay and templates, which explains every single thing in every template that you may have and exactly what to do and stuff like that, right? So, and it starting at 1,200, and that just means because some people got a lot of stuff. It takes a lot of time to, from a land, and it just depends, like I say, based upon, but that is at the starting base price. And for the most part, we haven't had anybody come with something so extreme, but I do understand the time that it takes to put a trust in, especially when you got a whole lot of property, and I mean a lot, right? But we're gonna make sure that you understand how to run it yourself and what to do for it, for yourself as well. So just know that is an opportunity for you guys as well. So, but everything that you guys from here from this point on is for education and religious purposes only. So anybody seeking any form of legal advice, please do seek a legal advisor, as it is my religious duty to speak my religious truth and experience with you guys today. All right. So y'all ready to talk about it, man? Drop some ones and let me know. Because we're going to cover some things today. All right. We're going to cover some things today. And the main things that we do have to cover is the words. Words words have very special meanings, and they have to be fully explained in what they're saying. So since we're talking about negotiable instruments, and we understand what negotiable instruments is according to Article 3, right? So we're going to know what negotiable instruments is according to UCC Article 3 and what actually makes a negotiable instrument. And then we're going to talk about forgery, and then we're going to talk about the intent of you as well, and void where prohibited by law. And then I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do. So, because again, I keep telling you guys, this is all about your rights and knowing how to assert your rights and protect yourself at all times, right? So if you know how to do that, that is going to make this simple. Very, very simple for you, right, man? Right. Very simple. Make sure y'all keep giving some love. Keep the activity up, yo, so they don't cut y'all out of here. All right, so let's talk about it. Negotiable instrument. All right, so it says right here, negotiable instrument, except as provided in subsection C and D. Negotiable instrument means an unconditional promise or order to pay a fixed amount of money with or without interest or other charges described in the promise or order, if it is payable to bearer or to order at the time it is issued or first comes into possession of a holder. So now it needs to have pay to the order of, where it says payable to bearer, right? And is it payable on demand at a definite time? So that means that what is the date, okay, that you have placed upon it? All right. And it says does not state any other undertaking or instruction by the person promising or ordering a payment. And now notice it's a promise and an order. So pay attention. Promising or ordering payment to do any action in addition to the payment of money. But the promise or order may contain an undertaking or power to give, maintain, or protect collateral to secure payment, an authorization or power to the holder to confess judgment or realize on the disposal of collateral, a waiver of the benefit of law intended for the advantage or protection of an obligor. All right. So now an instrument means negotiable instrument. An order that meets all of the requirements of subsection A, except paragraph 1, and otherwise falls within the definitions of a check. All right. And subsection F is a negotiable instrument and a check. So a promise a promise or order other than a check is not an instrument. Okay. If at the time it is issued or first come into possession of a holder, it contains a conspicuous statement, however expressed to the effect that the promise or order is not negotiable or is not an instrument governed by this article. Okay. So remember, instrument means negotiable instrument. An instrument is also a note. Okay. So, and that's the reason why a promissory note. So, as we look at, if it is a promise, and then it is a draft, if it is an order. So, you either got a draft or a promise. Okay. That's it. All right. So, and a draft, which is an order, and what I mean by that is just literally like if you got money in the bank and you got a check from your bank for you to write checks upon the bank, then you're ordering. It's an order to draw from your account. Okay. And the drawee is the one who have to pay once that check is presented on demand out of your account. All right. Then you got a promissory note. Okay. Which can be considered a financial asset where you're actually given the formal amount of credits. Okay. That's going to be placed on the actual account. And this is going to go down on the liability side of the bank. And the bank is going to have to give you the credits. Okay. That's how that works. So it's either one or the other. All right. So now you got all these other things. I don't really want to go into too much of it, but it says if an instrument falls within the definition of both note and draft, okay, a person entitled to force the instrument may treat it as either. There you go. So it can be as both note and draft. All right. So now that we covered that, and now that we fully covered that, we know exactly what the negotiable instrument is, right? So the next thing you need to understand is now, if you gave a negotiable instrument and they considered it as forgery, well, we need to look into forgery. What does forgery mean? So it would be considered a crime. So they treat it as a criminal offense. Okay. And that means the falsely making. So if you make or materially altering with the intent, this is going to be the main thing here. Intent to defraud. Any writing which, if genuine, I guess that's what it means, might apparently be of legal efficacy of tile. This is not a good way to read this. Let's see if we can find a better definition than that. Because that is trash, whoever wrote that. Let's see what we got in here. But that is pretty much the same, though, no matter what we go look at it at. So let's look at it from here. The fraudulent act of creating. So they use the word creating. A copy of a document, signature, a banknote, or work of authorship that is intended to be passed off as genuine when it is not. So forging the signature of a maker of a check without the maker's knowledge made payable to the forger as well. The falsely making or materially altering with the intent to defraud any writing which, if genuine, might apparently be of legal efficacy or foundation of legal liability, right? So it's the altering. And then it has to go with the intent. So again, this is why I also tell you guys to put what? Void where prohibited by law is a phrase that is often used in legal documents such as wills and contracts to indicate that a particular provision or clause will be unenforceable if it violates any applicable laws or regulations. Okay? Understand that. Using that will always protect and save your ass. Because it's insinuating that, hey, to the best of my knowledge, I'm trying to fully apply with the law. You're basically saying I'm not an expert, so if there's anything in here that is not lawful, then it is considered void. Do everybody understand that? Drop some ones. Drop some ones so I can know that you understand that. Right? So now we got to go prove intent. I want you to pay attention because I'm gonna show you why void where prohibited by law is what needs to say. Done in good faith and void where prohibited by law. Absolutely. All right. So intent generally refers to the mental, listen, the mental objective, mental objective behind an action. The concept of intent is often the focal point of criminal law and is generally shown by circumstantial evidence such as the act or knowledge of the defendant. In criminal law, criminal intent, also known as mens rea, is one of two elements that must be proven in order to secure a conviction. All right. The other being the actual fact. Okay. And then some jurisdictions further classify intent into general and specific. It is sometimes difficult to draw a clear distinction between these modes of intent, but the Supreme Court has held that general intent corresponds loosely with knowledge of a crime, whereas specific intent refers to the purpose behind committing it. Okay? So drawing this distinction is important because they carry different standards of proof. So for general intent, the prosecution need only prove that the defendant intended to do the act in question, whereas proving specific intent will require the prosecution to prove that the defendant intended to bring about a specific consequence through his or her actions, or that he or she performed the action with a wrongful purpose. All right. It is worth noting that due to the confusion surrounding general and specific intent, some jurisdictions have adopted the model penal code's approach or demonstrating intent by showing of degree of certainly a defendant had that his or her conduct would cause a certain result. All right. So basically what this is saying is this: intent always have to be proven. So they have to prove willful intent for you to cause harm and damages. All right. Willful intent, and it has to be proven that you willfully intended to do something. Well, if you put void where prohibited by law, then that's not a willful intent. You didn't intend to cause harm because you said it's considered to be void. So if you considered it to be void, then there would not be a cause of action for forgery because the willful intent is now gone because of you voided where prohibited by law. Okay? I just gave you your remedy. Literally, plain as day. And you have to understand that because that is part of due process of law. Now the court also loses jurisdiction because there is no cause of action here to grant relief. And since there is no cause of action to grant relief, then here we are. Here we are. Since there's no cause of action to grant relief, the court must dismiss because they don't have jurisdiction. If there's no form of crime here, there's no jurisdiction for the court here today. And it's not a crime if you understand void where prohibited by law. You have to void. Now, we also got to prove like counterfeiting. When it comes to counterfeiting is this. The only way to counterfeit something is that you're taking something and trying to make like it's the original of something, right? So, and the only way you could counterfeit is if you're counterfeiting currency. Well, they can't use that because it's not even a currency, what you're using here. Okay? You're asking to use this in exchange, a negotiable instrument in exchange for currency. That's another thing. So they can't take that from you. Ever. And that's what you got to understand about forgery. That's what you got to understand about counterfeiting. And even then, if they wanted to consider it as counterfeit or forgery, no matter what, it always have to go back to what? Prove willful intent to cause harm. You got to prove it. All right. So before we get started, man, before I show y'all this document, man, let me check y'all vibe, man. Let me check y'all vibe. Drop some ones. Show some love. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. Let's go. We just 20 minutes in, yo. We already flaming for y'all. I don't think y'all understand. Let me check y'all vibe, man. Let me see what y'all letting out. Who up in here with us? Where you from? Let me know that you're hearing what I'm talking about right now. Because this is what I be talking about, showing y'all how to literally take care of your business and learning to assert your rights, understanding what's being said. Because forgery is, they have to prove your intent to defraud. There is no intent to defraud when you put void where prohibited by law. See, this saves you. Yeah, see, this saves you on a whole different level. But that's why we got to make sure that we understand the word and what's actually being said to you so we can gain the remedy that we want to gain. Shout out to Israel X, because he talks about that a lot. And words matter. Words matter. Delaware in the house. We got Connecticut in the house. That's what's up. Cali, y'all staying here. What's up, Cali? California. California love. All right. Y'all ready. I see y'all ready. Bronx, New York. That's what's up. The Bronx. All right, so appreciate y'all participation, man. Do hit the share. Everybody share right now. If you want to see this, hit the share button. I'm waiting on y'all. Hit the share button. In the meantime, while you are sharing, don't forget that we have our trust setup that we offer to you guys. So you're definitely welcome to do that as well. Just go to InGodWeTrustAcademy.com and you will see InGodWeTrustAcademy.com. All right. And if you also want to join work sessions, make sure that you do everything that you see here as well. Yes, make sure you do everything. All right. And Mondays and Wednesday, it allow you to be in the class with us so that you can ask your questions there as well. All right. So it'd be kind of hard to catch you guys through the chat on social media. So come inside the class so you can be a part of it and be able to ask questions, etc. there. So you're more than welcome. All right. So let's get started on this, man. I'm ready to show y'all something. Let's get started. All right. So the first thing is you're going to need to check. You're going to need to understand the venue of the case. So venue, jurisdiction, all of that matters. You got to make sure everything is done correctly. Okay. And when it comes to, you need to make sure that you understand your state rules of criminal procedures. Okay. And that way you can use the rules to direct and guide them, because the rules is what they have to follow. It is part of due process. So the rules of court is part of due process as well. So make sure that we receive those things. And the main thing that we're going to have to deal with is intent. All right. That is going to be our main focal point at all time, is the intent. Okay. Intent. Keep that in your mind, because that is the base part of what is to prove forgery, is that you had the intent to defraud. Okay. But it's always, I don't care what documents you do, you always put void where prohibited by law. Do everybody in here understand that? If you do, drop some ones. Let me know, because I'm not going forward till I know you do. I'm trying to make sure that you're safe, even in your mistakes and mishaps. Got it? Got this? All right. I see y'all. All right, so let's keep it moving forward. So the main thing that we want to do is this. You want to dismiss the case, because they can't prove intent when you have void where prohibited by law. So it says the defendant, your name, acting without formal legal representation, respectfully brings this motion to dismiss the charge. In this case, the complaint lacks the necessary facts to prove the key element of willful intent to defraud, which is essential for the charge of forgery. Therefore, the charges must be dismissed under Rule 2404B2 of the Missouri Rules of Criminal Procedure. Understand that. In support of this motion, the defendant states as follows. The court jurisdiction depends on the presence of a valid cause of action. If the complaint fails to allege facts sufficient to establish a cause of action, the court lacks subject matter jurisdiction to proceed. Haha, I got them. So if there's no cause of action, court, you have no jurisdiction over any subject matter because there's no crime here. So under Rule 24.04B2 of the Missouri Rules of Criminal Procedure, a complaint must be dismissed if it fails to allege sufficient facts that, if proven true, establish all essential elements of the charged offense. All right. Mere conclusory statements or vague assertions without factual support cannot withstand a motion to dismiss. The Missouri Constitution and the United States Constitution require that all defendants receive due process of law, specifically the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and Article 1, Section 10 of the Missouri Constitution. Now, it's very important that you make sure that you mention the Constitution because this is the precedent contract that the judge has to uphold and protect all rights. All right? Make sure you do that. All right, so now it mandates that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. The prosecution failure to present a clear and specific claim violates these constitutional protections. So in cases involving forgery, the prosecution bears the burden of proving beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant acted with willful intent of defraud. Absent specific factual allegations to support such intent, the claim cannot proceed. We can see Bell Atlanta Court versus Twombly, 2007, holding that a claim must have sufficient factual matter to state a claim that is plausible on its face, right? So forgery, as understood in legal terms, is defined by Black's Law Dictionary as the fraudulent making or alteration of a writing that harms another right? Under Missouri law, forgery is defined by Section 570.090. Find that in your state as well. Of the revised statute of the Missouri as occurring when a person with intent to defraud does any of the following: falsely makes, completes, or alters a written instrument, knowingly possesses a forged instrument, offers or present a forged instrument on one that contains false information with the intent to defraud. All right. This statutory definition underscores that the intent to defraud is a critical element of the offense. Inclusion of this disclaimer, void where prohibited by law, on the alleged negotiable instrument explicitly negates any fraudulent intent. The defendant's intent was clearly to ensure lawful compliance as evidenced by this statement. A disclaimer of this nature directly contradicts the prosecution's assertion of criminal intent. Courts have consistently held that the element of intent is indispensable in forgery cases. For instance, in the United States versus Barrett, 1997, the court emphasized that forgery requires proof of an intent to defraud and that action undertaken in good faith cannot constitute forgery. Simple. So according to the rules of Article 3 of the UCC, the document in question qualifies as a negotiable instrument. Negotiable instrument is defined as an unconditional promise or order to pay a fixed amount of money, payable to order or bearer, payable on demand or at a definite time. It do not state any other undertaking the instructions by the person promising or ordering payment except as authorized by UCC. All right, so the alleged instrument fulfilled these criteria. The inclusions of void where prohibited by law does not invalidate its negotiable nature, but instead serves as a lawful safeguard. The prosecution's failure to address these elements undermines their claim. So now, the complaint lacks specific allegations demonstrating the defendant's willful intent to defraud. General claims that the defendant created or issued a negotiable instrument are insufficient to support the charge. So, State versus Johnson, 1993. The court dismissed forgery charges where the prosecution failed to provide clear evidence of intent to deceive. Similarly, in this case, the lack of factual allegations substantiating intent renders the charge legally defective. Right? So good faith and lack of harm. The defendant's action were undertaken in good faith as demonstrated by their inclusion of disclaimer void where prohibited by law. This language clearly indicates that the defendant sought to avoid any unlawful conduct and acted transparently. Furthermore, no party has suffered demonstrable harm or financial loss as a result of the defendant's action. The absence of harm further undermines the prosecution's allegations of intent to defraud, as established in People versus Dunbar, 2019. So the lack of injury to a victim significantly weakens the basis for forgery charges. So in our conclusion here, the failure to establish a valid cause of action also deprives this court of subject matter jurisdiction over this case. Without sufficient factual allegations to establish a legally cognizable offense, the case must be dismissed in its entirety. As required under both the Missouri Constitution and the United States Constitution, this court is bound by oath to uphold the principles of due process, allowing a deficient claim to proceed would violate the constitutional rights of the defendant. So, considering the arguments presented, the complaint does not provide required facts to demonstrate willful intent to defraud, which is critical to sustaining the charge. Accordingly, the charges against the defendant should be dismissed with the prejudice, right? Wherefore, the defendant respectfully requests that this court grants this motion to dismiss and dismiss the charge against them for failure to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. Then you do a certificate of service on it, signed and sealed, follow through. And this case will automatically be dismissed because, again, if you guys are putting void where prohibited by law on all of these documents that you guys are out here creating, I don't care what it is, put that on your documents, okay? And it will help you in the end. I promise you. Alrighty. So drop some ones if you can follow with what I'm telling you right now. So we're going to catch this little vibe right quick, and we're going to see what you guys got to say in the chat. See what the chat going to be talking about. Let's go. Anybody want to come and let me know. All right. Gotta prove willful intent, family. Gotta prove the willful intent to defraud, the willful intent to cause harm, the willful intent to disobey a law, all of that, right? So I'm just helping you guys out to understand something, right? Well, even if you didn't, you can always give a notice of correction that you want them to avoid anything that is prohibited by law. You can always send a letter to state your intent. It's never too late to do anything. That's the main thing. So we're going to see what kind of questions you guys, man, got. Well, drop something in the chat, or if you learned something here today as well, let me know. What did you learn? Let me know what you learned today. Tell me what you learned. Or tell me what you earned today. And if you was to get a public defender, they would not fight for you on that matter. I learned that intent is the basis for forgery. Absolutely. And that's why we always got to say we done this in good faith. Please void where prohibited by law. Always say that. That'll keep you from falling in contempt into court and all kind of stuff. Anybody else, what y'all learned? Let me know. Let me know. Literally, you just said something. I'm helping a friend deal with the public defender. See, all you got to do is make sure that the public defender is aware that they fully have to protect all of your constitutional rights and fully by due process of law. Any form of negligence and harm that can be caused it can be used against him. Anything that he say or any harm that he causes against infringes upon your rights and does not fully provide due process of law, will be used against him in a court of law. I learned that void where prohibited by law is a legal disclaimer that proves that our intent was not to defraud. That's great. As well, let's see. I also learned that every word is powerful and important. Seems novice, but it's critical. I use pursuant to 50 USC 4305B2 in good faith. Great. The problem with the public defender these days, they have way too many cases and don't want to do crap. Yo, you can enforce them. That's negligence. You can enforce them. What else you guys got for me? Make sure y'all put y'all people on this, man, since y'all out here doing these negotiations. I'm going to leave this up because I feel like, I'd rather see y'all free than behind bars because of y'all just jumping in everywhere doing processes and not fully understanding what is going on, not learning the rights, asserting your disclaimers and all of that stuff so that you can make sure that you ain't in some court being sued or held in a criminal attempt. We got to make sure that we cover our asses. The words are like insurance too. Assurance. Yes. Anybody else? What y'all got? Equity looks at the intent over the form. Facts. Absolutely, man. It really does. Well, make sure that you guys y'all follow us, man, everywhere on YouTube. In God We Trust Academy, Twitch. In God We Trust Academy, Facebook. In God We Trust Academy. And follow me, Eric Ingram Bay, on Facebook as well. And then follow me on TikTok, MNRP6192020, or just put in Turban Swag, either or. Follow me there. We are always going to be live pretty much every day. I didn't get to go yesterday, but I'm glad I didn't, so I can say this for you guys today. And this is something that you to wake up fresh on and keep going. See, when it comes to taxes, y'all got to understand one thing. Make them prove you owe some taxes too. Because if everything that you're doing and you're the ultimate consumer, show me where I have to pay taxes. Show me where that I made a profit. Show me where that this wasn't a form of compensation for me. I need you to prove that. And I need you to prove contracts. Let's go. Let me see. Somebody said something. I was trying to read what you said. I'm glad you are talking about this. I have to go to the bank today because of a counterfeit check. Well, my negotiable instrument. It can't be counterfeit. It'll have to be representing currency. And you didn't make currency. You didn't take and make a dollar bill. You didn't do that. You didn't do that. Right? So duly noted, man. Duly noted. Make sure that y'all lock in with the show. Lock in with us. Any more questions before we get up out of here? The key word is exchanged. You said you exchanged it. So that's the main thing. I just got off probation yesterday and would like to fix this problem. Where do I start? What's the problem? What's up with the next conference? I don't know, man. What do the next conference need to, what y'all want to talk about in the next conference? And how soon would y'all like to do the next conference? What would y'all like to see the next conference? You had a gun case. What you mean by gun case? You had just because you had a gun, or you were in the use of the gun? Trust custody? Trust custody meaning what? Taxation? Salute. March. In March, man, that's I have my little one here by then. I have to see, man. Middle of January. That's tempting. Very tempting. But I don't know how long I would have to like prepare for that as of right now, since we're already in the middle of December. So it's kind of hard. Cause I like for everything to be right. I like to give everybody some time. Right now, everybody's spending money on Christmas and stuff like that. So I get it. Waiting on taxes and stuff like that. Let's say a lot of new people need a newbie fresh start for new people. Family trust, taxes, banking, what to learn it all, honestly. Man, I've been doing that though, to be honest with you. February gonna be hard too. Grantor register owner. Yeah, I am gonna teach how to do that for sure. Let's see what you say. Is there a way to have mock trials to prepare yourself for going to court and through court? Not really. I mean, and I say that because, I mean, we could do it, but people gotta act right. They have to take it serious to a point to where it's not a playful thing. It's gonna be in fun, but not to be too playful. And I know how people get. Credit repair. Yeah, we can talk about credit repair. Besides your state UCC codes, go study the Negotiable Instrument Act and the Bill of Exchange Act. Facts. That's what you got to do. All right, so I was thinking about I don't know, man. You want to do everything in trust. That's just from my perspective. I do everything in trust. What do you mean by a performance conference? What all would need to be considered in performance? It says, would you suggest to take your trust course or it depends on what you want. If you want to do it yourself, just take the course. Credit repair is, we could talk about credit repair. It's pretty simple. And when you say credit repair, you mean knocking stuff off or you mean like building up the credit? Because those are two different things. Knocking stuff off is easy. Knowing how to build it up properly is another thing. IRS sent a letter before they released the funds. They want 3 check stubs. Yes, credit repair and how to properly use. I don't know what you filed a 1099 then. What kind of 1099 did you file? IRS asking to identify my trust. In other words, certificate of trust for credits and future estimated tax. Send it to them. No one will accept that executive letter. Too late. We didn't have too many people that had it, so I can't agree with that statement. We've actually used the executive letter to literally clear credit. That's a fact. Okay. But some of the stuff you don't want to get rid of because it still deals with history. So, and history is something that has to be a part of credit as well when they look at stuff. The real thing I would be doing though, like some of this stuff, y'all just need to learn to do the taxation on it. Building your own government through trust, we already did that. It's called Building the Kingdom. So you can go to my website, InGodWeTrustAcademy.com, and Building the Kingdom. That's already up there. Will I do a pop-up class on what? You talking about credit repair? I guess. I'm gonna be honest, man. You can use, well, I ain't gonna say nothing. I'll just show you when the time comes. Do you got any knowledge on the 1522 form to the Fiscal Service Bureau? Credit repair, credit repair. We're gonna be seeing. So yeah, but if you want that building your own government, you can do that. You actually, that's just an international right. That's a law. That's a natural right that you have, which is why people assemble to form for the common defense as well. Look, I'm gonna say it like this. I recommend getting all my classes. And I say that because we've had success from just pretty much everything we've done. All of it, to be honest with you. I think that, but see, everything that I do, I'm always building on what I've already done to make it better. Like now, I'm focusing on more on, I don't want any more pushback from dealing with court situations and stuff. So we finna be like an assassin with these laws. So I'm for real when I say that. Like, that's the point where I'm at now. Like, I want to shut shit down just because my presence there. When they know, they see my face, go, this case is dismissed. Damn it. Hey, that's just me, man. When they see that information, they're gonna be like, damn, they got us. It's over with. It's over with. If they say the counterclaim failed to set forth facts sufficient to state a claim against plaintiff, that means your facts ain't strong enough. That means you got to be more definite and deep with peer evidence of your facts. Nah, I don't have no bundle prices right now. Right now, I'm working on Teachable, the school. And when I get the school up, everybody gonna be able to come in and jump into the school and do the things that you want to do, learn what you want to learn, keep it moving. But right now, like I say, it's just I've been real focused on like I was just saying, like, it's just everything that we've been saying and doing, like all the stuff that we've been writing, all the stuff in the conditional acceptance letters and stuff like that. And it's true. It's not that it's not true. It's just like when we start talking about due process and the rules of criminal procedures, the rules of civil procedures, just the overall in general of what we're saying, we have to really start realizing right then and there that, that's where we be lacking in sometimes. And I'm a firm believer in that, like a lot of people get grown and feel like, nobody can tell them shit. And then I feel like if you in a place to where you don't got nobody, then you got to be willing to check yourself. And, I feel like I try to make sure that any form of weaknesses, especially in stuff like this, that, that's our focal point of practice, no matter what, till we become fully perfected in that matter. And we will, which we already have. I've already perfected the matter now. It don't take me long, which is what we call intelligence. Intelligence is being able to adapt to new information and being able to apply it. So how quickly can you adapt to new information based upon hypothesis and things of that nature that you have observation of, maybe even through experience, right? I did what you said about the 1040V, and I got a negative 250,000 on my account. That mean they owe you. that means they owe you. So that's the thing. But I just want y'all to know, because it's real. You just have to make sure that you focus and pay attention to like the keywords of what's being said, as we said today. Intent. Okay? The intent. The intent of everything. So, the intent. Can they prove willful intent for you to break the law? Like, let's say the driver's license, even the gun, having a gun, you got to have a permit, but you are having the right to bear arm. See, you would need a permit to operate as security for hire. And I keep telling you that this is a commercial nation, so they got y'all on a base foundation as self-employed. So you self-employed in everything that you are doing. I want y'all to understand that. They do not look at you as anything else until you express that it is something else. Other than that, you are fully in a form of services to be chartered like a self-employed, right? All right. So now, once you understand that part, now you got to understand you're considered a self-employed driver. Driver's license. That's a privilege and a permit to operate and do commerce within that state. Okay? It's also showing that, you know, you can be hired, okay, by a company as well to drive. So now, what happens when I'm operating on my liberty? And my liberty is that I have the right to freely travel this earth abroad. That is part also why you can speak on the Declaration of Human Rights type thing, because you have the right to move freely abroad the earth. Okay, that's a fact. That's a natural thing, because God gave the earth to man, which means male and female. We have dominion, which means that we are upkeepers. We are trustees of this earth. Okay, so now what I'm saying is in this purpose of, so now if I'm operating on my liberty and my freedom of traveling, then I'm operating on a constitutional right that is a higher law. So now you have to prove willful intent for me to disobey a law when I'm operating on a higher law that supersedes, okay, this legislative statutory law. And the word traffic automatically means commerce. So if this is a commerce ticket, okay, then now we got to talk about what? Contracts. Got to talk about contracts. And that's the main thing. Contractual agreement. So now that they have to show. So now we gotta, when we talk about contractual agreement, what is the precedent nature? Okay. What is the precedent contract here? And it is the Constitution. So the preceding contract that we have is that oath of office that comes first. Okay? The oath of honor, not the oath of profit, but for the oath of honor, which is in full protection of all rights to keep from infringing upon the people. All right? They have to operate according to due process and protect all liberties of the people. That has been said and unsaid, right? So now, once you take that in consideration, you can understand, right? You can understand now how to operate, because now we can do a motion to dismiss for failure to state a claim. Because what? they cannot prove willful intent for you to disobey the law when you are only exercising a constitutional right, a constitutional liberty. That's a fact. So, since the court cannot prove this today, case has to be dismissed. Court lacks jurisdiction. Court does not have subject matter here today because there is no crime. And according to the court also has to make it known because this is in the wrong venue. We're in a criminal court talking about traffic, and traffic means commerce. Commerce is civil in nature, anything. That's why civil action is the only action. So with that being said, if there's a crime here, then I have the right to face my accuser. All right. And that means all harm and damages have to be present, and they have to show how they have personal injury here. So that would mean that the court, the prosecutor on behalf of the state or whoever would have to show, how did you receive a harm or damage today? And we need this by affidavit as well. There has to be a sworn affidavit under penalty and perjury. So if the prosecutor is not ready to place himself under penalty and perjury today, what are we doing here? There's no cause of action here. I hope y'all hear exactly what I'm saying, because if this is a crime, and if you're the one who bringing the claim, then this has to be under penalty and perjury. Otherwise, there is no cause of action here today. That's a fact. And we can prove this all day long. So again, if this is a traffic, it's commerce, that means the venue is wrong. Court needs to dismiss the case for a wrong venue as well. Venue gone, jurisdiction gone, because there's no subject matter here. So we got rid of personal matter and subject matter jurisdiction all at the same time. What are we doing here today? Drop some ones if you understand what I'm saying. Same thing when it comes to your gun rights. You got rights. You got the right to bear arm in defense. So they got to prove willful intent for you to go cause harm. Just because you had a gun does not. I don't care if they said you were a felony or felon, whatever. It doesn't matter. You always got that right to protect yourself until God take you off the face of this earth, which means that as long as you're not in an attempt to go and cause war and make war against society at any given time, then it is your right to bear arms, right? So if they just pulled you over and said, yeah, you don't got a pistol permit, we're going to give you a gun charge and all of that, and they take you to jail, and then you need to say, okay, I need to see, they got to prove willful intent to cause harm. Show willful intent where I cause harm. Okay. Show me willful intent to disobey the law when I was only exercising a constitutional right, the right to bear arms. I need to see proof. Somebody said, why are we here, Judge? Yeah, why are we here today? I want to know. Other than you guys wanting to pay me for my labor, service, and time and energy in this venue today, because I must fully be compensated. Absolutely. Yeah, we got to know, man. We got questions up in here. We want to know. I might have to motion to move the court in equity. to ensure all constitutional rights are protected, and that this court does not infringe upon the people's right and to cause war against the people or make war against the people because it is considered to be treason. Right? It's treason. So with that being said, I'm going to need to see in full transparency all sureties of the court. It means I need to see the oath and bonds to ensure that you are who you are and are operating on the faith of the court today. Child support cases, same way. Motion for this case to be dismissed. Because we got to know, we already know this is a Title 4D contract and you were hired by the Child Support Enforcement Agency. All officers of the court here today has been hired, which literally makes this a private contract, and under the Clearfield Doctrine, you no longer have sovereign immunities. So with that being said, this case needs to be dismissed, or everybody in here is acting on their own full cognizance without any immunities, and any harm and damages done today, you all will be held responsibly individually for any harm and damage that has been caused in infringing upon my rights of due process of law here today. We can handle it that way. I hope y'all hear what I'm telling you. It just takes for you to just think about it and understand your rights and what is afforded to you at all time. What's supposed to be afforded to you at all time. It's a fact. We need to see these things, guys. No more playing around with this. We can't lose. Because everything has to, like, I want y'all to understand you have the right to face your accuser. And the burden of proof is on them. You're innocent until proven guilty. You're not guilty until proven innocent. So that means that they have to have enough evidence and full discovery, right, for you to bow down to their claim, because you're just caught fully red-handed. Or otherwise, if it lacks any form of evidence in any shape, form, or fashion that points to you, then the case got to be dismissed based upon the due process of law, because there is no evidence to grant there's no evidence for one. Okay, so that's which gives them lack of standing. They don't have a cause of action to grant relief. That's the main thing, yo. They don't have it. There's a lot of vaccine damage. Why you make me say that word? We not supposed to say that word. There's a lot of damage. Makes it hard to grasp. We try. God help us all. It ain't for me. I ain't got no damages from it. I didn't go get it. Nah, man, I've been living long enough to know that, shoot, we just gonna lean on God. If it say God says our time, then if this was supposed to take us out, then shoot, so be it. But I be damned if I go participate and you taking me out. Nah, that ain't happening. No, 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 no. Tell my family all the time, don't take me there unless I'm dying. And if I'm dying, then hey, it might be my time. So we'll see what God say first. Straight up. I don't want no pause. It's just simple. You saying so you didn't give somebody permission to do a surgery on you, sue. That's all you need to do is sue. Sue, 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 sue. You did not give them permission to pertain to some form of surgery. They were supposed to do something else in relations, but they did something different. You need to show the full contract of, and that's it. It's just a lawsuit. Oh yeah, we all got hit as a kid, man. Worst shit ever. And then you grow up to learn about what happened. And then you find out what chicken pox actually is. And then you start understanding how, man, it's crazy, yo. So a lot of diseases that y'all think that somebody else gave you, they didn't. That you were giving it to by, yeah, through something they stick in your arm when you was a kid. And it hangs dormant for a very long time. Then based upon your diet and how you eat, it gets to come out through certain proteins and all this type of stuff, and it connects to your body to start calling the eczema and or whatever else things that they want to cause on you. Like, yeah. So it's a lot of viral and bacteria and worms, and yeah, we can go on about that. But this is why it takes for us to gain back and get into liberation and to liberty. We care about so much other stuff than the actual life itself and what it means to, for us to get that back. Like, because we know what's happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know exactly what's going on. We are very fully aware. And if you're not aware by now, you've been told. And that just means you just naive as shit and you don't believe people do bad things, which means that you're probably not truthful with yourself about who you are and the shit you're capable of or have done. That's usually why a lot of people be naive with this type of stuff. You see what I'm saying? So, I'm just saying. Well, yeah, our body does cleanse itself, but it's hard for it to cleanse just with it itself based upon its regular basis job when we keep dumping filth in it. Like, it's easy to come in and just vacuum the room if it ain't shit on the floor. But if people just keep dumping filth in the floor, then first I got to pick it all up before I can get to vacuum the floor. And that's kind of what your body's going through. It's constantly having to pick up filth in your body every day before it can begin to cleanse. So it never gets to that part because it's constantly having to get filth out. It's constantly having to pick up all the garbage first. So it never gets to vacuum and suck all of that things that don't need to be in your body. And if you don't fast, then that's the point. And it's getting cold, so you gotta understand how that fat and grease, what fat and grease does in the refrigerator. So now that you cold, out in the cold, and yeah, think about that. What it's gonna do in your body. Same thing. So 30 raw healthy egg body is stars need enzymes. Man, listen, it's there for you guys. I believe and know that the cure is through nature. Why? Because everything they use comes from nature. I don't care. Even when they make up chemical stuff, the base foundation of it all is from nature. So nature can be used for a lot of great, beautiful things, and you can take nature and use it to destroy shit too. They do it, right? So, But man, that's it for us today on this particular time. I might jump back in later on. So I hope you guys learned something from this section. And, please do enjoy. Don't forget to follow us, man. Like, share, and subscribe from wherever you're watching, man. Also, tell somebody else about us, man. They may need this information or going through something, man, just go check out our website and see what's on there as well, or check out our social media pages as well. A lot of information there for you guys. So again, appreciate it. Peace, love, and law. I'm out of here. I'll catch you guys later.